Wow. Hi guys.
Hello.
We're recording. We are live. This is happening right now. And man, it's been a bit. Are you okay? Parse?
Yeah, I am good because, bro,
Cuz
I finally won a race.
You did.
Yes.
You did win a race.
Woo.
Good job.
So tonight, every Sunday around 6 p.m. Eastern, we have the famous Race Day League on F1 and on the most recent video game. And of course, I compete with the Ferrari team, and I got my first win today on Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium.
Ooh,
Congrats.
very nice. Very, very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Way to go. That
Good
was
job,
Parse. Your other one of our hosts,
Your
Host.
resident Parse.
our resident Parse,
Friendly
our
neighborhood
resident
Parse.
neighborhood Parse,
Friendly
who,
neighborhood snug man.
races F1 online. I am your other host, Anton Wong, here today. How's
And
it going?
I'm Yusuf. Hi guys, it's the Sportculation Podcast, and it's a very, very interesting month. We're in 2021. Football is happening. Sports are happening. COVID is still happening. But that's not stopping us from getting together and talking about stuff. And what are we talking about, Anton? What exactly are we talking about today?
We're going to talk about sports betting and sports gambling.
Alrighty. I like the sound of that.
It's a gambling podcast.
We're gambling. I will bet $10 right now that this will be a podcast.
Wow. What are the odds? 100
100, yeah.
to nothing.
Two? So yeah, but what exactly do you want to talk about though? Like what in betting?
Yeah,
Because it's such a humongous thing, right?
Yeah. So my question is, my first question is, do you guys bet on sports? Because I don't, even though I'm over the age of 18 and I definitely have or I guess it's 19 in Canada. I don't remember.
Not. I don't
Anyway,
remember,
I'm
actually.
24, so I'm definitely well over
yeah.
the age. So, but I have never really considered sports betting, and I don't think I really ever want to. Yeah, or just like betting in general. But I just want to know what the, like, I guess the fascination behind it, and also what the economics behind it are, and what that means for leagues. Yeah, I guess it's like, for me, it's like a slight moral thing, like for my own sake. Like, I don't feel like that's something that's healthy for me. But I'm not going to like push judgment on people who decide that they want to do it. So I want to understand, like, have you guys done it, and what is it that you enjoy about it, or don't enjoy? Yeah.
Yusuf, I'll go first.
Okay.
So yeah, I have betted sports betting before.
Okay, cool. End of podcast. That's it. That's all.
All right, that's been the Sportculation Podcast. Everybody, good.
I think it's fun. I actually do like it. When I lose, I think it's actually quite fun. Just because I don't get too wrapped up in it. There's a lot of sites out there that let you bet at your means, like measly bets that make you don't feel like you just left your destroyed your house. And I think it just adds a little bit more of a dynamic to the game, makes you even more focused on it, which I think is actually more fun because now you're more into it. And there's a lot of things you can learn about it to make it easier on yourself. You start to figure out where your strengths and weaknesses are when it comes to betting.
Okay. Yusuf?
Okay, I can agree with that, with the whole like strengths and weaknesses when you come to betting thing. Betting is such an interesting thing, and that like I don't do it that often. My uncle does. That's where I sort of got the habit from, actually. But like for me, I just find it sort of enjoyable to bet because it's me sort of testing the odds of like what's going on in sports, because it can be pretty unpredictable for the most part. But I feel like there are a lot of people, and I assume we'll be going into this later on in the podcast, but if you can figure out like how like the little bits and bobs work about betting, like it becomes really interesting looking at like the statistics behind either betting or like the statistics of the sport you're betting on, and then figuring out how that all works into like some psychotic equation, and then that's what you'll end up putting your money on. For example, we've talked about this on the show a couple times. I put $100 on the Vegas Golden Knights in 2017-18 and said they're going to make the Stanley Cup final. Legitimately, nobody believed me. Not a single person, not even these two. And I won about, I think it was like somewhere close to 1,300 off that when they had beaten the Jets and made the Stanley Cup final. And that literally was just on a hunch, because it was like, it'd be fun for me to just do it, because I feel like no one's going to expect anything from them right now. And I took a look at that roster heading into, I believe it was October of 2017 or November. And I took a look at the roster. I was looking at everyone's stats, and I'm like, yeah, this game, they could do it. Why not? So, it's for me, betting is very much just like a for fun thing. And sort of just a way to like test my knowledge of like the system in a sense. So, yeah.
And like sometimes you can just bet just based on your feelings, Like I mean, when Canada played the US, I didn't do any research. I didn't say to myself who was this or who was that. I just said to myself, I have a feeling that the pressure is just gonna get to Canada.
Parse saw a bald eagle fly past his window, and that's when he knew.
So plus 125 ml, I'll take it at 100, and it was plus 125 ml. So it's like it came out. Somehow I was like, I think you make like 80 or 90 bucks on it. Can't remember how much, but it was really good. It was a really good bet. It's also days where you lose. So I'll never forget this day.
Yeah.
I bet $5 on the Bills beating the Chiefs earlier in the year. It was like earlier, I think the first meeting they ever had. I bet on the Bills because they were 3-0 or something, and they were just really nice. And Kansas just lost to the Raiders. So I thought they were going to go on a losing streak. Mm-hmm. And the Bills decided to just not play football that day. It was totally annoying. So, I mean, but you don't ever, I think this is the thing about people. You don't ever bet something that you are actually going to feel bad for losing. You bet what you can afford to lose. That's why I did the 5.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And perhaps we should have like some sort of disclaimer in the show notes or something about if you are possibly, you or a loved one listening or someone listening maybe possibly triggered by betting, whether you might have like an addiction, like some people have gambling addictions. We should maybe put that in the show notes, because
we apologize. We apologize beforehand for anyone that may be triggered if you or a loved one are
it's a sensitive
gambling,
subject.
It can be a very it can be a very, very sensitive subject. So
there's a lot of meaning and rules and things that are just weird in betting. So I bet half the people were like, what's an ML? And what does it mean to bet the spread? We're about to break that down for you guys.
Yeah, so basically what I wanted to achieve with this podcast is just sort of like explain it a little bit more, like kind of like exploring the world of sports betting a little bit, just opening it up a little bit for myself, because I'm not that in this podcast, I sort of bring that amateur or like someone an outsider point of view, because I'm not as knowledge on a lot of sports, specifically sports stats and stuff like that, and sports history. So that I kind of want to open it up for some people and just understand some things. So like, first of all, what is an ML, and what is like, how does betting work?
So there's different categories towards bets. The most popular one is the one you guys have probably done with your friends a lot. There's 2 teams, they're going to be matching up this weekend, and one of you takes one side, the other one takes the other. Right? Now, each team, when you go through the betting logs, if you do it on the computer or if you go with a bookie, they're going to give you the over and under. The over and under is not who's going to win, who's going to lose. Not. Over and under is how many points collectively teams are going to score, and you either go over that mark or under that mark. So example, if the over is 44.5 in a football game, That means that the two teams are going to combine to score over 44 points. If they do, and you picked over, you win. You do and you pick under, then you lose. Simple as that. Doesn't matter who won, who lost. That's the over and under. I would call that the riskier side because you never know what's going to happen. Teams could lose their wide receiver. Teams could just all of a sudden just have a really flat offensive line in the second half. You just never really know. I don't take those. Never have, and I probably never will because I just don't trust them. If we go into ML is short for money line. When you money line bet, your money is going to be placed on a different team. So let's go into golf, for example. There are money lines for each and every single person. And depending on who you pick, that would be your bet. That would be your marker. So let's say I did a money line on Tiger Woods. And for some reason, Phil Mickelson won the Open, the Masters. Let's say I did a ML on the Masters and Tiger Woods didn't win. But Mickelson did. You would lose whatever money you put on the money line for Tiger Woods because Tiger Woods didn't win. Very straightforward. However, what becomes tricky is the plus minus on it. So
Yeah, that's like the thing that always trips me up. I'm like, how does this even work? Like I always, when I'm like on the score or something like that, sports app, when I scroll down to see like, oh, this is who's playing tonight. And this is the plus minus. I'm like, what does that mean?
So glad you brought that up, Anton. The plus minus is it's very straightforward, actually. The minus is always the favorite. And the plus is always the underdog. Now in golf it's different because everybody's a minus except for the people who are just amateurs. Literally. Like the same thing goes for racing. So if you're betting on racing, betting on golf, please listen very carefully. Whoever you pick on, they're most likely going to have minuses, but the minuses go up depending on who's more favored. So Tiger Woods may be favored negative 2,400, and then Nicholson was negative 1,600. So Nicholson is technically the underdog to Tiger Woods because he has less negative, but it's still not going to be a big payday for you because it's negative. And then if it's positive, those are the underdogs. Last year, the Miami Heat were a plus 240 in game 3 of the NBA Finals. My friend took them, and he was able to cash out pretty tremendously.
That is nice. That's actually really nice.
It's a true story. I wish we had him on the show. But, I mean, don't always take the plus because sometimes you got to learn that the hard way, a.k.a. the Lions this year. They just never really won. Sorry, not a low jab to you. Not a low jab to you.
There has to be at least one Detroit joke in every episode. I realize that's the common theme at this point.
Yeah,
there has to be at least one. There has to be at least one Detroit sports joke in like every episode. Look, man, I'm just saying, like you could bet on something like I don't know, Alex Caruso being MVP. We could do that. You could put money on Alex Caruso being MVP because he deserves to be MVP. Anyways.
So like how exactly would you read like how are plus minuses presented on like a betting website and how would you read it? Like let's say it's let's say it's like the Raptors are facing the Nuggets and I don't know, come up with a scenario for that and let's say I think that the Raptors are going to win.
So there's going to be 3 basic lines on that. So there's going to be Nuggets and Raptors. There's going to be the first thing's going to pop up is the ML. So the ML is probably going to be like negative, I would think negative 210 or between negative 150 and 210 between Nuggets and Raptors, just because Nuggets went to the Western Conference Finals last year and how their record is doing now versus the Raptors. That'll be the first line. So you can either pick and choose between that. Remember the plus and minus will always be equal. So it's never going to be like plus 210 and then minus 320. It's never going to happen. It's always going to be equal. The second part of it you're going to get is the point spread. I didn't really get into that, but what the point spread is how much the team is going to win or lose by. And this is very, very dangerous, bro. I really don't recommend it. I've never won doing.
That's like it's like betting everything on red 19 or whatever. Like
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, no, actually, it really is, because then if it hits red, you think you win, but it has to hit red 19. And you get that wrong, you lose everything. So it's similar to that. But the spread would probably be like plus 4.5 in terms of points because it's basketball. And then obviously then is the over under. So probably over under probably like 112. Do you think so? It'd be like 112, 113?
Yusuf, let's save that for the other.
I know. It just happened, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh no, oh no.
Yusuf's got another game.
Oh
going on.
God,
Which you'll have to listen to another podcast episode for. Tune in for that. Which may have already been released. Anyway,
yeah, this point.
That spread is crazy, right?
What are you talking numbers wise, Parse, for that scenario?
If it was a Raptors Nuggets game, what do you think the lines would be?
118.
118 and over under?
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
I think 118 would be
okay.
like
Sounds about right.
just about there. Good. I feel like 112 is.
So then how does that work?
That's like 2010.
Yeah.
Okay, so 118.
Yeah.
So let's say I put down 100.
Okay.
Even let's say I put down $10. 100 is easier to understand mathematically.
Are you picking all three, or are you just picking one?
You
don't have to pick all three.
No, you can do
just
one.
for the money line, right?
Or just go for a parlay, but
yeah, once you start stacking, then it becomes a parlay.
Yeah.
And now it means that you have to hit every single one of them to cash out, but it also tremendously increases your payout.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is why people just play it safe and do one.
First.
Yeah.
So on the money line, let's say I put 100 down on the Nuggets, right? And they win. What would happen then?
Just for simplicity's sake, let's say it was 100 and the stakes was like a negative 210 on the Nuggets winning. Let's say, just for argument's sake, you would have won $21.
$21. Okay.
I can't really tell you how the math works on the negative, just 'cause it's a lot. It's a lot. But let's just say if it's negative 210, that you would have got the 21 because it's negative.
Yusuf, you look like
I'm trying to figure. I'm trying to do the math behind that. That's why.
You're trying to do the math for real?
I'm actually trying to figure out.
You guys have computers in front of you.
That's what the computers.
You guys could use the computers.
What is a computer? What is this contraption you speak of? No, I think like, yeah, somewhere around like if you're at a minus 210, you're putting down $100. You said. If like
yes, 100.
Yeah,
100.
okay. If you're putting down 100, yeah, $21 probably.
Okay.
Yeah, 21.
So do I have to like pay a premium on that cash out, or is it I just straight up get the?
Nah. 21? Oh, sorry. There's
that
another
becomes
thing.
Yeah. So
if you win, the money you bet with, whatever that money was, you win that back plus the extra.
Okay.
So
how are they? And so they're making money. So how are the whoever
like betting sites or like
this betting
books,
sites or whoever? How are they making the money?
Don't they take a portion?
They take a percentage.
Yeah, they take a percentage.
For bookies. Yeah. For bookies, they do.
Oh.
Some sites are very nice now. So Bodog's very nice now.
I've heard Bodog's good.
They will give you the money back plus your winnings because they make money off the off you continuing as well as when you do lose.
Okay.
And they also make money off when you withdraw. So this is the problem that I have, is that the withdrawal fees are outrageous, bro.
Okay, so it's a premium on the withdrawal.
Yeah.
What's like a typical withdrawal with that site?
They were charging you $50 for a wire transfer.
Oh, okay. So you want to like stack them up and then withdraw.
Typically,
I guess that makes sense because then like they're incentivizing you to continue in order to like quote unquote save money. Okay, I guess I see how that business model works. Are there like other businesses with different kinds of? I'm assuming that there are other businesses with other business models in terms of.
It depends on the site. It really, because I feel like something people get confused about is they think that every betting site works the same. Not necessarily. Like I don't use Bodog, so I don't know how Bodog work. I used to use Bet365 for a little bit, and Bet365 uses sort of the same business practice, but a little bit different in that the wire transfer fee is a little less, I believe. If I remember correctly, it's been a while since I've used it. And then others will, rather than take a fee for the wire transfer, they take a percentage from your winnings for withdrawal. So it's like when you take money out of an ATM and there's like a charge behind that and all that crap. Yeah, it's like that, kind of.
Okay.
It'll depend on the site. It'll depend on what you're using.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, if it's like, most people bet on the winner,
Right.
in terms of cash, amount of cash, outweighs the amount of loss.
Mm-hmm.
The people who bet on the person who ended up losing, or the team that ended up losing, then what? Like, the site only made that much amount of money, and they're at a loss with that game, right? And so they have to make it up with subsequent games. Is that how that works? The business model?
Well, no, because if you let's say for instance that you did bet, and that was your last bet you ever made in your life.
No, I'm talking about the sites.
Yeah, even the site's the same. Like, let's say that's the last bet you ever made. Like, then the site now.
I mean, like, how are they make, like, I'm assuming that means that they take a loss on that game, right? If it's like, if there was more money that was bet on the winners than there was money bet on the losers, then wouldn't they? And if everyone decided to cash out, would they be at a loss?
I'm not sure
for that game, depending on how much their withdrawal fees are.
Because don't they still take percentages based on?
You would have to really look into it. Like,
yeah, I'm not actually sure.
Because at this point, I'm just asking about like how casinos work. I know how
casinos are a whole.
That's a whole different ball.
Like,
that's a whole different
casinos. Like,
field.
It's like they try to get you to stay, and then like I know the slot machines are like they're not actually fair, and
yeah,
they have like ways of making sure that the house wins. The house always wins. Mm-hmm. But like sports betting is like a different thing, right? So I'm just trying to think like
I've done both.
How does the business model work?
The casino is a lot more personal about it. Like, I don't believe in the slot machines, so I never went there. But I played a lot of roulette at the casinos I've been to, and yeah, like they take a percentage at the end of it anyway. The bookies, like, I mean, well, the people who are there who are handing out the cards and all that, they're very, very slick with it. Like, sometimes you have to even read their wrist motion, because sometimes the way that they turn their wrist can tell you if it's going to land on red or black, and it's a very personal. Because when you lose, like, it really feels bad, and then when you win, it's when they got you. It's when they get you. So it's different from sports betting, because at least with sports betting, you could do small bets, man. You could do like $2. You can do like 25 cents on some stuff and do like a parlay and win big. When you go to a casino, there's a minimum spend of $5 to $10. So there I am at the table, and the lady says, no, minimum 10. You're not betting unless you do a minimum 10. And then there I am with my $100 chips, and I'm like, okay, let me just put 100. Let me just put like 10 on black. You lose that, 10 on black again. Okay, 40 on black. Then you win, and all of a sudden, you got that money back, and plus what you already originally bet, and you're like, okay, maybe I'm good at this, and you start to continue. But it's nothing like that when you do sports betting, like on the sites, because you could literally do like there's a story of a guy this like last year in 2020, he bet 25 cents or 33 cents on a race, and the three people he picked to be 1, 2, 3 actually did. And he won 33 grand off that.
Off of betting how much?
33 cents. He was in Scotland, I think.
Damn. It's just like, oh, I have this like change in my pocket. What am I gonna do? I'll just throw a bet and just win enough money to pay off someone's student loan, maybe, Wow. All right.
There's an actual.
Are you pulling up the article?
Yeah, I'm trying to find the article on it.
I'm Googling currently, like how they could lose money and whatnot. I've found a few things, but like I'm
Yeah,
just
so this
reading through it.
podcast is kind of like a more like, how does sports betting work?
How to sports bet.
Well, maybe not how to sports bet. Let's not
How to
put
sports bet.
ourselves into legal trouble. I don't know
Hello,
if that.
my name is James Holtzhauer. I know.
Yes,
That's one
welcome
guy.
To
who
legal.
knows a
Welcome
thing.
to Legal Eagle.
Yeah,
I'm
welcome.
Devin from Legal Eagle.
Please don't sue us.
Yeah.
I love your YouTube channel.
We're gonna talk about itchy and scratchy.
We're gonna talk about the Chewbacca
This
events.
is it.
Okay, but so what was the? So it was 33 cents.
So, Lucky Gambler. It reads Lucky Gambler wins big after betting 24 cents on a Gasly Sainz Stroll podium in the F1 Italian Grand Prix. And the odds of that happening was 166,990 to 1. This guy did it. And the payoff, I mean, I remember reading, it was like, it was $39,390 this guy won. And he was in Finland.
33. Wow, my goodness. Yeah.
That dude's my inspiration. When it comes, every time I make a bet,
Well, I think
I'm like, bro, I gotta remember that guy.
Maybe that's like these like sort of lottery ticket mentality of people. Like that's what gets people to continue betting, right? I guess that's kind of also where, of course, people are able to then bet, and that's how these companies make money. And also, like, I guess also it brings in tax money for the state, and or for if it's like a if it's on a native reserve, then it brings in money for that reserve. But then also you get into all kinds of trouble with people who form addictions around gambling, and I guess that's how it happens. They just see like, this could happen though, and then we have that like optimism bias as humans, right?
Yeah, it's like it especially when you're doing well with betting, it becomes, if you're starting to like enjoy the feeling of winning when you're betting, it becomes pretty addicting pretty fast. Because
so don't ever do that.
Yeah,
like don't ever
just don't bet. No more betting.
Don't weigh out like your wins. Like there's a lot of people who technically they start winning. They start to, every good bet is one that they win, and every bad bet is one they lose.
Yep,
that's when you start to get. That's when you start to go into a slippery slope.
Yeah, and then the problem is that you win a couple good ones, like not even over a long spree. You win a couple big ones, and the next thing you know, it's like, all right, well, time to go all in. It's like playing poker basically with your own life.
Yeah.
In a twisted way,
Interesting way to put it.
I mean, you got one hand, you put in a little bit, you win back. Okay, you put the next hand, you win a little bit, you put it back, and you're like, I'm feeling lucky.
Okay.
And it gets, just slippery slope, as Parse said. Yeah. Anything else you want to ask with betting?
Yeah. So, so that's how it works with like two teams facing off against each other, or tennis.
Right.
Two players facing off each other. But how does it work in racing? Let's say
how does it work in racing? Yeah.
Like, let's say I'm betting on, like lots of people bet on like horse tracks, and then Parse, you are an F1 driver, like, at least digitally.
Digitally, a F1 driver. Yes.
So how does that work? Because I remember hearing somewhere where it's like, an effective way to actually, like the most probable way of winning is betting on, that a favorite horse will place. So that they'll get first, second, or third.
Yeah,
that's like the highest.
That's probably the safest way to do it.
That's like the safest bet.
Safest way to do it.
Safest way to do it.
Safest bet is like picking a favorite to place.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly boring.
I mean,
for some people. But so like, how does that work though?
Yeah. So I'm gonna tell you. So the first things first, like when it comes to horses betting, each horse has different odds. You've heard about like the 7-1 and 4-1. 4-1 is the best bet. That means that's most likely one of the favorites whenever you're that small. 12-1 means you're just way out of it, but you could still win. And then there's different ones. So there's win, place, and show. Win is obviously there. Place is the top 3. And show, I'm not exactly too familiar with how show is.
I think isn't it win, place, and show is like first, second, and third? Isn't it? Is that how it is?
Maybe
Like on the podium?
I mean, that could entirely be it. Pretty sure. But like I said, you want to pick either 1, 2, or 3 of those, and most likely the big winners do parlays on that, just because you could really cash out when it comes to doing that on the online betting. But when you go to an actual park, like a racetrack park, like I mean, we're in Canada, so the biggest reference I can give you guys is Woodbine.
Yeah, Woodbine
Park.
track. Yeah,
Woodbine track. You just want to bet odds straight, and
yep. Which will be like plus whatever number. It's the same thing with like. It's weird because it's the same thing with professional wrestling because people bet on professional wrestling. Fun fact. Where, for example, for an event like the Royal Rumble, where it's not exactly like who will beat who, it's 30 guys that all have a chance of winning this match. So that's when it becomes this guy has like plus 400 odds, this guy has like plus 800 odds, plus 1200, 1600, yada yada yada. The higher the number is, the less of the chances they have. The lower the number is, closer to 0, the higher of a chance they have. It's like when people bet, or when people put odds, like you ever see like on Instagram or whatever when they put up like the Vegas betting odds for who could potentially win like the Stanley Cup or something, and it's like Tampa Bay and Vegas are at like a plus, like I think it's like a plus 400 right now. It's basically like that, where the lower the number is, closer to 0, the better chances they have, and that is where you will be putting on your money. How the math works out and how that money works is a whole different story.
So NASCAR is a good example for racing, even though there is F1. Right now, I'm looking at the legitimate 2021 Cup Series Championship odds, and it looks like Kevin Harvick. I'm not sure who even that person is.
Kevin Hart?
Yes. I'm driving a car.
575. He's a plus 575 to win the whole championship. And then you have guys like Timmy Hill, who is a plus 75,000 odds of winning the championship. And you just kind of place your money.
Yeah, like I've Googled. This was a mistake. I Googled the Kentucky Derby 2021 odds.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I'm looking at the numbers, and the numbers are like, okay, it's like okay, this horse has like this much odds. Like for example, Essential Quality. That is the top running horse in the Derby. Oh, it gets worse. They have odds at plus 1200, which is actually the highest odds in this case to potentially win the Derby. After that, you have Life is Good. That's another horse that is tied at 1200, and then you have other horses like Spielberg at 2000. I'm just naming these off because they're stupid. Jackie's Warrior, Hot Rod Charlie at $2,000 and 2,500 for odds. There was a horse named Jeff Bezos somewhere here. I have to find where that's what got me interested. Oh, there's Hosier too. Okay, so this is horrible.
Yeah, we gotta get.
Oh no. I know we're getting side. This is just funny. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 horses that all have a plus 3,300 odds. Their names are Vava Vegas, Van Gogh, Hosier, Fenway, and Jeff Bezos. But
wow.
my point here is, number 1, they're really stupid names for horses. Number 2, you can tell.
How dare you, stupid?
Jeff Bezos. You can tell where, like, how much of a difference there is for like what horse you think is going to win. And the thing is, it's not like people scout these horses out in advance and they're like, that's how you put the betting odds. It's just, that's not the betting odds work, I guess. Because a lot of them don't have prior race experience. It is a timing thing, yeah.
So Yusuf, like, I think we forgot to explain, but like, if you place your bet earlier, there's a chance that you could actually have better odds.
Yes.
So This is why a lot of people tend to try to make their NFL picks like on a Monday or Tuesday before any injury news comes out. There's a reason why people pick like Yusuf, right? You pick who's going to win the cup way in advance, because you pick it during playoff time, your odds go down drastically. So it is important. I know when you're doing the racing stuff, you definitely want to get into that like way before.
Right.
And then another thing with basketball, this is another big one. You technically want to get on that before the game starts.
So then my question is like, what is is it market forces that decide what the plus minus is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Easy way of saying it. Yeah. It's kind of like a stock market, but not so
Yeah,
much.
pretty much. Like the market will decide what odds are going to be for what team, what horse, what car, what Jeff Bezos, things
Okay,
like
so
that.
I guess it's similar to like stock options type of thing, right?
And the
Pretty
things
much.
fluctuate as the game goes on. For
Which
example,
is also like the stock market.
today, I think Kansas City was down at 1.97, and the odds are looking like they weren't going to win, so the odds just went for plus on a Kansas City. If you caught that millisecond to go ahead and do that bet, you're a lucky boy right now because they're
Yeah,
up.
they're
Okay,
up
so it
fucking
fluctuates.
whatever the score is. Yeah.
It can fluctuate like highly throughout the game, and much like stock options, if you swoop in on that contract, then and you end up being correct,
Yeah,
then the payout could be
the payout could be very,
quite
very
handsome.
good. Wow.
Okay.
That's what like people. There are obviously people out there. We are not those people that will watch these things like hawks, like like how people watch the stock market and how people watch certain stocks, and watch for either certain declines or certain hikes in their rates and whatnot. I say rates. That's not the word. You get the idea in the market value, and say like when you look at a game. Yeah. Shut up. So when you look at a game for like when you look at I need to find the numbers. I'm gonna find these in a second. But the Super Bowl, what was it? 3 years ago? The Atlanta New England.
That was
The Atlanta New England game is that
2017. That's 2017. Yeah.
It's that game of the century for bettors, man.
Yeah, because in the split, like New England being down that whole game.
when they made that
28
comeback.
to nothing.
Yeah, New England being down 28-3 heading into the fourth, bettors were having a paradise. But then as they started making the comeback, then the market for betting starts fluctuating. It's like, okay, New England's coming back, and then just skyrockets. The second that game hit overtime, it was like, I think there was about $1 billion put into betting for that game. Just
Well,
based
I
on
mean,
that.
it's the Super Bowl. I'm
It
not
is the Super
surprised.
Bowl, exactly. So
I'm not surprised.
but still, that's a ton of money that had that overtime period not happened and had that comeback not even happened, then well, there wouldn't have been such a fluctuation or like just like random things that happen. Like for example, like, you remember that year the lights went out during the Super Bowl? I think it was the year the Saints won.
Yeah.
Someone had bet in advance that the lights would go out during the Super Bowl, and they won something off that. But then during the game, when the lights had gone out, people were starting to bet on when the lights would come back on.
Yeah. I've heard of people where like they bet on the coin flip and they bet on like this and
they'll
that.
bet on like the smallest little things that are just based
Bet on
on
the
like the
field goal
nature
once.
of the world.
Or like they like, oh, which commercial will be shown first, like Coke or Pepsi or Mazda or whatever.
I've heard of those. It's wild. I have nothing more to say about it. It's just other than it's wild.
Okay. So my final question is, I don't know if we can make this even like a whole other podcast, but like I'm sure we can. But
Tune in next time to find out.
because we're a sportculation and we like to speculate on things, hence the name Sportculation, speculation of sports. So since 2018, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 states that have since decided to legalize sports betting, of course, and in addition to Nevada, the state of Nevada. So what do you guys think as more states start to open up sports betting? What do you guys think is like the future of sports? And in addition, with regards to sports betting, do you think it's going to change the sport for the better in like getting more people watching certain sports, whichever sport decides to really embrace that? Of course, that's people will bet on whatever anyway, but like whether or not that league will distance themselves or embrace that. Do you think that it would be beneficial in terms of growing it? Or do you think that it would be harmful? It could be both. And explain why you think that might be the case. And where do you foresee this going in the future?
I didn't know this was grade 12 English class all over again.
Yes.
With Mr.
Please
E.
explain. Cite your sources. MLA format.
Okay, so before I lose marks for this, almighty teacher, it depends on the sport. I feel like that can be very dependent on the
best
sport.
answer ever.
Yeah, like because I'm thinking, is there like a general rule of thumb for betting and how betting works for when you look at like the major leagues? So you look at baseball, football, basketball, hockey. Is there like the same way of betting? No, it's very different. Betting is obviously a huge thing in football. Basketball, it's starting to become bigger. Baseball, it's been a thing for centuries.
I'm aware, yeah.
Yeah, the World Series were rigged on it, for Christ's sake. I can't talk about betting on hockey because I feel like if I say that word 3 times, Tyler will appear. So it really depends. It's like when and what you were talking about whether leagues will like embrace it or try to dissociate with it. One thing I've realized recently with like when you look at, say, the UFC, right? The UFC embraces sports betting now. They're sponsored by, like, I think it's not Bodog. It's some other betting site. FanDuel's. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
And
I mean, they have their matches.
Yeah, it's FanDuel's and something Kings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DraftKings.
DraftKings.
Yeah,
DraftKings.
yeah.
FanDuel and DraftKings.
Because they have all of their matches, or the majority of their matches, in Las Vegas.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much all of their
betting paradise right there,
Yeah.
right? So it really depends. I feel like when you look at a sport like football, because betting is already a big part of the culture on football, because people bet on fucking anything in football. The league, at some point, the NFL is going to be embracing it more than they already are. I feel like for some reason, as far as like a PR thing, and also just due to legality, because gambling is such a wild thing when you're talking about like the actual legality of sports gambling in the United States, and it depends like state by state by state, that at some point they will embrace it. You look at other sports like basketball, they're definitely going to be embracing it soon. And basketball, we've talked about this on other episodes of the show, but basketball, as far as the trajectory of where they're going as a brand, they're just skyrocketing up more and more and more every year. And with the embracing of like sports gambling and all that, like not calling it like a crime, that'll definitely help because more people want to get interested. And now that you have all these young and upcoming stars, more people won't want to be betting on these stars, these teams. I'd bet it all on the Miami Heat. In reference to a video I sent the guys a few weeks ago. But I think about, like, for example, like betting with hockey, because that's one thing that isn't that common.
Yeah, because it's a very traditional.
It's a very traditional sport.
Yeah.
Like everything about it is traditional in its own sense, right? But with betting, you'll see people posting like the Vegas betting odds on what team will win the Stanley Cup. But besides that, it's not really talked about throughout the season until the Stanley Cup playoffs. Like there's no, at least from what I've seen, there isn't any like big of a fluctuation throughout the season for a team. Say like they have Tampa being picked as like the highest odds to win the cup, and if they have like a slump, you're not going to see any real change in that unless it's the Toronto Maple Leafs, but we know how that goes. So I feel like with sports betting in the future, I think it'll only get bigger, and at some point governments around the world, like North America too, will have to start embracing it. Because I know people already have a bad look on gambling because that's pretty much what corrupted FIFA. So, there's that. Parse?
I think what you said was well said. I think that you hit it right in the head. I think they will embrace it. I also think it's a great way for money to be exchanged for economies. I think because you look at alcohol and how that was on prohibition for a while. They were losing a lot of sales through that, and they brought it back, of course. And they, alcohol is one of a big thing. That's why Canada has a legitimate Queen's seal of approval on LCBO, because it makes money. And I think they're gonna do the same thing with the betting. They're gonna have that be another source of money to fluctuate.
Right. Yeah, because they already have state lottos, right? And that's one way that they generate income. And I guess charities do that as well. But yeah, so this was actually quite informative. I don't know if I'll get into it. This is not like, me trying to tell people to go one way or the other.
No, we're not doing that at all.
Yeah, we're not gonna. Yeah, we don't want to get ourselves into legal trouble of get it.
But Anton's been a great host.
Anton is. This is why we need Anton at quarterback more often.
Yeah, I don't want people to think that this was like a how to get started in sports betting. It's just more like how does it work, yeah. If you if you are someone who happens to be listening and you think you might have a problem, please go seek help. There's people out there. I'm sure there's resources that can help you out. And we'll see if we can link something in the show notes.
Oh yeah, I'll find a link or two.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, this is also not to be like disparaging anyone who does bet on sports. Like I don't personally, because I don't know, for whatever reason, but I do I play fantasy, just like for bragging rights, not like for money.
Yeah.
And it's just, I kind of understand it. Like it is kind of fun, the game, but yeah, this was more of just like how does it work? Because that was something I've had on my mind for a while. Like, how does it actually work? But yeah, thanks guys that was very informative.
Oh, no problem.
You're welcome.
We're always here to help, and we're always here to talk about stuff. It's why we do this show at this point.
We're into sports.
We're into sports.
We understand
everything about sports.
Sportculation.
Oh, Sportculation.
Yeah, I like taking my position as the less knowledgeable person, as the beginner person.
Anton is the less knowledgeable about most sports things, but at least knowledgeable about the media stuff, so we have that.
Yo, if you took Austin Rivers on your fantasy team, you're winning right now. Just
yeah. Anyways, with that being said, this has been the Sportculation Podcast. I'm Yusuf.
I'm Parse.
The fuck, guys. I am Yusuf.
I'm Parse.
I'm Anton.
Oh no, we've messed up. We'll see you soon. We'll see you at some point. Don't know when, but until then, bye.
I bet it.
Stop.